on the outside, honestly. As a team and as players and as individuals, you pretty much set your own, all right? And so every year is different. This is my 19th year, I think, and I don't think I've ever come in to the same exact year. Every year is different. Sometimes you've had teams that have been projected from the outside to win titles. Sometimes you have teams. I had a team that was predicted to not win 15 games before. And so you kind of set your expectations with your group. And I think for us, as in the past, we'll get into camp and we will decide what that is. And so it's always a different feeling. I can tell you, in a strange way, in my opinion, this is the healthiest this franchise has been as far as now and the future. And so from my vantage point, I love where we're at right now. I just look at the totality of all the things we've done. It's upstairs, bringing in the tons. When I think about when I took over this job, I think, and the whole Sterling thing happened. I think we have 4 people upstairs, making decisions, and now we have a group of 20. We've never had flexibility, ever, and now we have flexibility. So as far as the health of franchise, I think this is the healthiest it's ever been. We have an owner that is willing to do whatever it takes. One of my goals when I first came here, people like, why would you come here? One of the goals, all 3, one was to be a world champion one day. One was to be a destination, and from the outside world now, all of a sudden you're hearing that. You're hearing people say they want to be a Clipper, whether that's true or not. It says that from the outside, people are viewing this as a good place to be, and that was one of our goals, and we're starting to succeed in that area. But it's done through all the work through everybody. So when I look at that, I think we're heading in the right direction.
Doc, James Allen, Angels Radio, AM 830. You just talked about coaching for about 19 years. How have you changed most as a coach over those years?
Well, I don't know. I think you never stop learning. I literally learn every day as a coach, and I think at least the key for me is I want to learn every day. I want to get better every day. I've had a lot of success, but that's past for me. And so, from a coaching standpoint, patience, communication. But each group, you got to try to find out what makes them tick, and that's what makes me tick.
Coach Martin Harsimovich, BBC. Marcin Gortat, I've heard you tried to bring him to Boston when you were a coach there. I don't know if that's true. And
I didn't hear you.
I've heard that you tried to acquire him when you were in Boston a couple of years ago. Now you've got him in a different stage of his career. What do you like about him and what he can bring into this team?
Well, obviously, the basketball part of him. What I liked is, when we were in Boston, before Red Auerbach passed, he would come in my office every day and say, get more instigators, get more instigators. And when I looked at him, I'm thinking, well, he's a great instigator. And so that's what we expect him to be here as well. He can pass. He can do a lot of things that I think but you probably have forgotten about. But he has this ability to instigate action. And so that's what I'm looking for in him.
Doc Rivers, Coach, Tomer Zarley, Clutch Points. Last year, you guys were expected to compete for a playoff spot, and this season, at least from the outside, it doesn't look like people expect you to compete for a playoff spot. Mm-hmm. With the rookies and the mix of veterans, what do you expect out of training camp?
Well, that's your expectations or whoever's expectations. We don't subscribe to anybody else's expectations. So I'm really looking forward to training camp. I think we have 1,000 guards the last time I looked. So we have to figure out that whole process. And we have really some special young players, which I'm looking forward to. It's funny. I've coached a long time, and most of my career, surprisingly, has been more with young guys than old. It's just the last 8 have been with veteran teams. And so I'm really looking forward to their growth. I think we got a group of young guys that can be really special in this league. But there's work that's required by them. And, you know, we were just talking about it, you know, this so-called choice. There really is no choice, as much as players think they have all these choices, but there really is no choice. Either you want to be great or you don't, and you have to do what you have to do. You have to make certain choices and certain decisions to be great, but there really is no choice. You have to do the things you have to do, and I think our young guys are willing to do it.
Justin Jett here, Def Pen Hoops. You had talked about how you wanted to change the culture and how you wanted to become a destination. I think that's really happened for the Clippers. What moves did you make to put that into effect?
Oh, I think 1,000 moves. You know, it started from the day I walked in the door and the day we keep adding. Then we hired Lawrence. Then, you know, obviously Steve Ballmer comes in, bringing Jerry in. And really Steve has been he's been the pusher of this. He's allowed us, you know, you think about it, after my first year, we really didn't have an owner. Steve was in transition, so we were not allowed to hire anybody. So we go into that, my second year, without hiring anybody. In the third year, Steve was new, and we kind of had to talk him into how far we were behind, you know, in medical, in the front office, and everywhere. And he allowed us to hire a few people. And then finally last year, he opened the door and he said, go for it. You know, we need to catch up. We want to be better. And so I would say it's Steve's ability to do that has allowed us to get where we're at right now.
Andrew Greif, LA Times. Because injuries were such a central theme last year, how healthy is this roster right now going into camp?
Everybody's healthy in October and September. You know that. You know, it's the key, obviously. For us to be successful, you have to have health. I mean, when you think about what we did last year with no health, it was a miracle, but we still didn't get to the playoffs. And so for us to have a successful campaign this year, we have to be healthy.
Doc, yeah. What do you expect from Danilo Gallinari? After last season, he played only 21 games.
Well,
do you see him as a leader, primary scorer?
He's a heck of a basketball player, but he didn't play for 21 games. So my expectations are for him to be healthy. You know, unfortunately for most players, they don't have they have control over their health, but things happen and you get injured. So we need all our guys to be healthy. If Gallo is healthy, you'll know why we signed him, and people will be very happy with it.
Doc, LT Willis, OET, right, for TG Sports. Before you start, your coaching staff start picking up the draft picks and signing players, did you have a vision of what type of team you wanted the Clippers to be?
Yeah, I do. I would rather tell you later because I want to get into camp.
Okay.
I mean, it's typical that you have a vision sometimes, and you get into camp and you see, well, maybe we're something a little different. So, but I clearly, I think I know who we're going to be. I really do. I'll tell you later.
Adam Oslin, AM 570 LA Sports, right here, Doc.
Okay.
We met earlier.
Yes.
Without
see the face.
Without DJ, without Blake, without CP3, for the first time in 10 years here at a Media Day, who are the leaders on this team? Who have you identified as those guys now?
I think that'll be identified. You know, obviously, we always assume it'll be the veteran guys. You know, the Lou's, the Gals, the Patrick Beverleys, the Tobiases. Listen, I think everyone's going to have to lead at some point. You know, I think by game one, when you see the guys talking to the refs before the game, those will be who the players think are their leaders. You know, it's important to have leadership. It's important to have guys wanting to follow as well, and I think we're going to have a little bit of both of that.
You mentioned the 1,000 guards. I mean, you talked a lot about Wednesday about Pat, Avery, Shea, and Jerome. What about the guys behind them? What are you seeing from them?
I don't know if anyone's behind anyone. Bottom line is this is a competition like what sports is. And, there's going to be a certain amount of players on the team. There's going to be guys in the rotation. And the competition starts tomorrow for the competition of who's going to play. And I think it's good. I think it'll be a great competition.
Doc, Eric Geller, CBS Radio. How in flux or fluid is this roster considering all the quote-unquote rumors that have been spreading around because the Clippers have now become such a destination spot in the NBA?
Well, I hope it's not too fluid. Let's put it that way, because that's disruption as well. But obviously we're building. And so I think we got a group of guys that we can win with right here that are on the roster, and that's who I know, and that's who I'm going to coach. I can't control the narrative outside and the rumors. And, listen, I've heard more trade rumors in my career that I have literally had never heard about, and yet I was the president. And so it just is what it is, especially in this day and time. And it's a new thing, I think, that we all have to deal with, and all the teams do. It's just something. It's a factor that we have to all deal with.
Doc, Tobias became a very lethal three-point shooter last year.
Yeah.
What's the next step for him in becoming a better player?
To keep doing that, to stay consistent there. I guess, we had a little laundry list for him this summer. I don't know of anyone that worked harder than Tobias. One, getting to the foul line a little bit more, going both ways off the dribble and attacking. So, and just, continue, learning how to be a leader. Those are the next steps.
Hey, Coach. Cameron Buford, right here in the back. LA News Observer by way of What's Good in Sports. I got a question about off-the-court activities. Do you encourage your players, and will you encourage your players to get involved in social activities off the field?
Yes.
Just kind of giving back to the community.
I'm encouraging you to do it as well.
Oh, I do. Thank you.
Yeah, and everybody. And I'm
you.
serious. I don't get political very often, but we better all go vote. I don't care who you vote for. I actually do care. But we talk about it all the time as a group, and I think it's more important now than ever. We're about to maybe confirm a guy to be the Supreme Court justice that has sexual allegations against him, and it's like we don't care. Right now, for me, I've always been political. I don't talk about it a lot. I've actually felt like I've been on the sideline a little too much about it. But this is important for us. We're so concerned about if a guy is kneeling for a national anthem, yet those same people that are concerned about that are willing to put a guy like this as your Supreme Court justice, and we have nothing to say about that. We have to go vote. We have to go register. We have to go vote. Black men have to go vote. I think 7% of black men voted for the president. 7%. And we have to do better. I talk to my players about it.
I think that's a fantastic message. Not at all where I was going, but I think all of us in the room appreciate that message. Thank you for sharing that. The second part of my question was, what's the best example of someone paying it forward that you experienced this offseason, if you will?
You mean as a player? To a player?
In your personal life, within your organization, just your best example.
I don't know. There's so many examples, from as a player to a player, a guy giving me his book on each player as a rookie, and I was taking his job. There's a million examples of things that players do around the league and our players. I think our league does it right as far as that socially. I think what LeBron has done this summer was absolutely fantastic, and we just got to keep doing it.
Time for a couple more questions before we let Doc go.
Hi, Magdalena with Close Up 360. I actually have a question about Ralph Lawler, as it's his last season with the Clippers. What do you think?
Oh my!
What do you think Ralph will be most remembered for?
Holding the mic in his hand for a very long time, having the greatest calls, the dunks. I mean, as good as the DJ dunked and plays were, it was called made it better for me is just having a relationship. For me personally, Ralph's been absolutely fantastic, and you know, he's been our voice for a long time. The fact that I've had the ability to play in a game that Ralph called and coach a game that Ralph called makes me the lucky one at the end of the day.
Coach, Giovanni Garcia, Fantasy Sports Cave. With the rookies, Gilgeous-Alexander, Jerome Robinson, what are some of the goals that you have for them this year?
I don't know yet. I mean, obviously to improve individually. First, learn how to be a great teammate, learn how to be a pro, but expect them to contribute. Like, I push all my players to be good now and help us now. I've never believed in that whole future thing. You know, do it now. And if that will, I think that will introduce them to the real world, and that's what we're going to do.
Doc, thank you. Coming up next, Tobias Harris and Lou Williams in just a couple of minutes.
All right, guys. Thanks.